Revolutionized the game. I mean, we've been talking about here on our show for a while. First off, the evolution of the game. Seeing last night, I was at the Garden for a second. Then I went over to Brooklyn and was able to see two incredible games, by the way, last evening. But
you went to both games.
Yeah, watching Ray Allen and Reggie Miller stand next to him and playing against Reggie. Ray being like a bigger brother to me. And watching the next iteration of those two was just phenomenal, understanding that's where the game has been imagined. But also I want to say this, coming from a predominantly isolated league, isolation play league, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, D. Wade, those type of players, the way he made that last shot last night to actually get the record epitomizes how he has also brought the game back to movement. I don't think people recognize how difficult it is, moving without the ball, but also the way he was tracking backwards. He's backpedaling at a crazy speed to catch the ball, stop, right on the dime, lift up with Alec Burks' hand right in your face to raise it over the top. And the ball, just the purity of the shot, Max and Key, the ball to go like the ball, think about that sound, not to hit the rim, just splash it in the Garden. That just epitomizes the greatness of the shot, which claims the record for the greatest shooter in the history of the game of basketball. It was beautiful to see and witness.
Key?
Yeah, it was certainly a beauty. There's no question about it. But, you anticipated that he was going to get it. There's no question about it. When a guy is that deadly of a shooter, it was just a matter of time. And I think that the only other thing for me that would have sealed the deal if he could have did it in Oakland, the Garden was great because obviously it's the Garden and it's magical moments in basketball or whatnot. But when you do it in front of your home crowd, gives those fans that's been with you your entire career, that self that they've been with you through the journey, through the ride, through the ups, the downs, all those sort of things. More ups than downs, clearly for the Golden State Warriors since Curry's been on that team. But it gives you that. That's the only other thing. Other than that, having Reggie Miller in the stands and Ray Allen there, surprisingly, coming down at the end and presenting him with the jerseys, those sort of things are just moments that you can't take away from such a night. And, it's now the question becomes how much more, he's probably got another 6 years of basketball left in him at a level.
Threes.
Mm-hmm. So imagine those numbers continuing to climb, just go keep climbing and keep climbing and keep climbing to a point where a different conversation will come up about who can and when can somebody surpass him in his greatness.
Start the Day is brought to you by Indeed. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Visit Indeed.com. So you brought it up, Key. It couldn't have happened. I mean, maybe in a better environment if it's at home. I don't know. Madison Square Garden is like the Mecca. Because he was only 2 away, we knew it was going to happen on Tuesday. And so Ray Allen could be in the building to see it. Reggie Miller was on the call for TNT, just like he was on the call for when Ray broke his record, Reggie's record. Here's Steph with Scott Van Pelt on what it meant to have the previous 2 record holders, Reggie Miller and Ray Allen, in attendance.
Reggie and Ray, for me, were the icons of shooting the basketball, obviously along with my dad. But to be out there on the court and have those guys supporting me and cheering me on and enjoying the moment with me, it's hard to really put into words. And you see the polished product out there, but the reps and that's gone into it over the course of the journey, and knowing how many teammates have been a part of this as well. Because somebody's got set screens for me, somebody got throw me the ball, and there's been a lot of people that have filled in those roles for me as well. So hopefully they can celebrate this as well.
Guys, there's a line, a lyric, Lupe Fiasco, that always stayed with me. That I think about in moments like this. It's a simple thing, but it made an impression on me. Did you improve on the design? Did you do something new? Right? Because most of us are derivative. Most of us, there's an original, and then there's a derivative. Sometimes, by the way, the derivative can be better than the original, right? Because you take the original, you refine it through the years, generations. Mm-hmm. But Steph Curry is not only the next iteration of what you said, like he's the latest and the greatest of the shooters. He improved on the design. He did something new. He took it and did something new with it and changed the game, Jay.
Well, I mean, and look, the process is not going to stop for him. The question is, for me, is as he continues to play at this pace, look, three-point shot attempts has gone up exponentially, okay? Like back in 1990, it was at 10% three-point shot attempts as opposed compared to the amount of shots you take in the course of a game. It's gone up to 40% now. So if the game is trending in this direction, you have to think that there will be other iterations that will try to have the volume of shots to try to break that one day. I'm not saying it can be done, but, I mean, he's going to make it very challenging, but that's where the game is trending towards, guys.
Although maybe, Key, it gets maxed out at a certain point and people it opens up the mid-range, and so the threes decline, or there's a rules change because there's just too many threes. Like, he does have a bunch more years to tack on.
It might be a rules change, and they might go to the 4-point deal, but you got to think about it. He did it in 500 and less fewer games, right? Mm-hmm. So if you do the math, you guys are geniuses and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. You do the math and you add on the numbers of the years that he could continue to play, and think about, and then take and backtrack the years that Ray Allen stopped playing or Reggie Miller stopped playing. Ain't no way in the hell nobody ever is going to catch Steph Curry. There's no way in hell they're going to catch Steph Curry. Think about it. He did it in 511 fewer games. Mm-hmm. So you figure, let's say he plays another, 5-6 years, and you do the math on that. That's what, 400 and some games or whatever the case may be. I mean, like, come on. Yeah, you add on to that?
But that
ain't no way.
But, Key, that was my point, though. It was the fact that, when Ray and Reggie, these guys are playing a night where they would have 9 or 10 three-point attempts. Like, that was a lot back then.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.